Well, I'm speaking with Matt from the band From Ashes to New, and I wanted to start out here, Matt. I was looking at your website and talk a little bit about the name of the band, and on your website, you was talking about yourself and how you kind of had to reinvent yourself, really, as time went on, and that's kind of how it helped start this band. So, is that where the name From Ashes to New came from?
Yeah, it's got a couple different origins. It's actually kind of funny because people really relate it to, the phoenix. They're like, oh, like a phoenix. And when I came up with the name for the band, I actually didn't even think of it. And then people were like, oh, like a phoenix. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense, like a phoenix. But yeah, man, I wrote a song. It was one of the first songs that I wrote lyrically for a previous local band that I was in, and there was a lyric in there. It was Bridges Burn, from Demons We Grew, we rise from ashes to new. Mm-hmm. And that lyric ended up holding significant meaning to where I was currently at in my life as I was forming this band. Mm-hmm. So, I was kind of going through, I had some addiction problems, some alcohol problems, and, just some lifestyle problems. And I was in the middle of reforming my life. So that lyric just happened to go along with that. And I always loved that lyric. I always thought that was really artsy and creative. So I wanted to use it. And the song itself didn't really fit with what I was doing with writing for From Ashes to New. So I decided that I thought it would be a really cool band name. So, used a part of some music that I wrote and where my life was currently at, put it together, and started a band.
Nice. And the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, man.
All right. Excellent. And now I wanted to talk a little bit about that new album. It came out in August of last year. The name is Panic. And of course, there's a song on there of the same name. And now I'm curious, when putting this album together and that song together specifically, did the pandemic have a big effect on that, or was that where that album was kind of going even before the pandemic?
Yeah, this was long before the pandemic that we decided to call it Panic. Okay. I think that there's more issues with having anxiety disorders and just types of mental disorders outside of 2020 and beyond. So we were already planning on naming the album Panic. We didn't have a song called Panic until towards the end of that album cycle, but that record was actually finished before the coronavirus hit. So it just ended up going together weirdly perfectly. Like, it was just a very strange, bizarre way that everything ended up fitting together.
Right. And I find that kind of interesting. I've been speaking with bands here over the past several months, and it seems like a lot of the, some of them were affected by the pandemic and they kind of wrote songs reflecting that, but there were others where they were putting an album together, the pandemic hits, and then it was just weird how they kind of coincided with one another.
Yeah, it was weird. People were commenting on the video when we released it, like, oh, a Corona Core band. And it's like, first off, that's a really funny title to give a band, Corona Core. Right. And second off is like, a lot of people did think that we created it because of that. But I mean, even the masks that we wore in the music video, our guitarist Lance had previously planned to kind of do this thing that was like become the show, wear a mask, wear a pair of glasses, come into the show and like become part of what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And again, it was bizarre how it all went together. It was almost like he was like prophesizing the fact that we were all going to have to wear masks sometime soon. So we had already had that idea, for the masks and everything together before everyone started wearing masks.
All right. Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. And, speaking of that music video as well, I was watching that here just a little while ago. And now, how did you guys shoot that particular video? Because, you sort of explained it at the beginning, but it just has a very interesting, look compared to other, music videos.
Well, I mean, it was supposed to be shot. We were supposed to have like a live music video, basically. It was supposed to look like we were playing in front of fans, and it was supposed to be like we were on stage and they were all interacting. And again, it was supposed to become the show, and everyone was supposed to be wearing these masks with these glasses, and it was supposed to be this cool visual. And that all got messed up because of COVID, and then we had to figure out something else. So the director, he found a location at an old cable call center, which again is another ironic thing because for 8 years I was cable guy before my band got signed. So that's very ironic. So it was an old cable call center. We just made it look like, it was another day in the office, and we just were off enough to destroy the office. So it was very cathartic for me because it was like I wasn't in the call center when I worked in the cable business. I was a serviceman, but it was a bit cathartic to be able to destroy something from my past. So
Right.
but yeah, man, it was just it was working with what we were able to work with. I think there were like 3 or 4 crew members that day in the band. It was very stripped back, and it was just whatever we could do, whatever we could think up, we made happen.
All right, cool. That's very cool. Yeah, like I said, that video is very interesting. I really dug that video.
Thanks,
And
man.
yeah, of course. And I want to talk about a couple other songs that you have on that new album, Panic, as well. One of them is the song "Bulletproof." Again, I was watching the music video, and you kind of explained, what the inspirations behind that song were at the beginning of the video. But could you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so the video that's my son.
Is it
One of
really?
them is my son. Yeah, and then one of them is my nephew. One of them is my niece, and then one of them is Danny's niece. Again, this is their first time being on camera, so they were a bit nervous. It was one of them situations again where we couldn't go through the Actors Guild to get anybody to do anything because everything was shut down.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, the song's talking about mostly about school violence and kind of overlooking some of the things that cause these horrific acts. And the video is again, it's another stripped back version of something that we were planning on doing because we didn't have the resources at the time to be able to do what we wanted to do. So I'm just grateful to be able to have these things finished up during 2020 because it was a lot of moving pieces with very limited resources. But yeah, man, I mean, you kind of, like you said, you nailed it on the head. Like the synopsis of the song really happens at the beginning, and at the end of it is another thing. And we wanted to preface it because it really is. It's a lot of blood. So it was like, and it's just kids being covered in blood, basically. So we wanted people to know that we weren't just throwing blood at kids. As weird as it sounds, being there as a dad and watching it being filmed, I was like, man, this is hard to watch. This is something that's difficult for me to be a part of.
Right, yeah, and I was going to mention that it's a very powerful video. I mean, I think you guys did an excellent job in getting your point across with that video.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Of course. And another song I wanted to mention was the "Scars That I'm Hiding." That's a great song as well. Could you talk a little bit about your inspirations for that one?
That one got cut up a bit. Honestly, the song itself is about hiding our either physical or mental scars and not wearing them proudly, basically telling people, wearing them and saying, hey, we're going to be ourselves. No one's going to tell us not to be us. And just telling everyone, hey, these scars have defined the characteristics of my life, but that's not going to make me less of a person. So that song's kind of a way in saying, hey, we do this, but we shouldn't. Okay. And the video, again, that was filmed at the same time as the Panic music video. So it was one of the same scenarios where everything was stripped back, no crew, it was just the band. But the label kind of tied that together with a movie that they had done, and replaced some of the scenes that we had. We had some scenes in the original music video that showed people dealing with addiction, drug addiction and alcohol addiction. And, we had different scenes throughout that original music video that really kind of drove what the topic of the song was home and really kind of had these powerful viewpoints. But the record label had different plans for the music video. They removed those scenes and put in their movie clips, and one thing led to the next, and here we are.
Right. Okay. All right. Interesting. That's very interesting. And in talking about these songs, I think all of them have a pretty a powerful message, and it's an opportunity. I think people really relate to rock music and the message that's within them. Like when you do shows, do you have people that come up to you afterwards and say, "Hey, this song Bulletproof or this song Panic or whatever, really spoke to me, and it really helped me." Is that something you guys experience?
Yeah, man. I mean, I see it and hear it all the time, and it's really cool as an artist because really, it's just for me. It's just I'm putting my thoughts down on paper, and then then obviously we record the thoughts, and then the songs and they're released. So for me, it's it's really cool to see how much people relate to what we're doing. It kind of makes you feel like, okay, in one sense, it makes you feel like, okay, I'm in tune with what's going on and what a lot of people are feeling. And at the same time, it makes you feel like I think everyone else wants to feel like, and makes you feel like you're not alone.
Right. Yeah. And and that's I think it has this. Rock music has a real healing factor to it. I know sometimes if I'm feeling down or I'm upset about something, just hopping in my vehicle, going for a drive with the windows down and some rock music blasting is what helps me feel better. And I think that really resonates with a lot of people and really speaks to a lot of people.
I think that's what was big in the early 2000s, man. Like if I think back to the music that I listened to when I was a kid, it was, like you said, it had a healing factor. And I don't want to go on record and say that there's a lot of music now that doesn't have that. I just think that it kind of needs to get back at it. Okay. I just feel like, especially in like the big mainstream world, there's just and not necessarily rock, but like all throughout music, it's like, what's the substance anymore? Like what substances does music have? What is the message that they're trying to convey? And not every song has to be message. So I'm not saying that. Not every song has to have some type of message that makes you feel better as a person. Mm-hmm. There's different reasons for music. But I guess like for what I'm doing and what this band is doing, we're here to convey a message. Basically, write our feelings down, like I said, and then put them out there and hope people relate to them. And I feel like that is becoming more of a lost art. Mm-hmm. Like you're kind of getting some of this other stuff. It's like I said again, the mainstream. Like back in the day, mainstream to me was like Eminem, The Way I Am. Mm-hmm. Like that song like shaped me as a kid. Like listen to that, and I'm like, man, like okay, he gets it. He knows where I'm at. Now, as many songs as Eminem had that were funny or just absurd, he still had the ones that were really serious that you would go, oh, okay, I see where this guy's at. And I just feel like music needs that. And that's kind of what we're trying to do, is we're trying to bring that to the table and say, hey, listen, like we're all people. We're all going through the same crazy stuff. Here's what we think about it. How do you feel?
Right. And I think you guys do that very well. So I'll compliment you on that. I think you guys do that very well. Yeah.
I wasn't fishing for a compliment or anything, man. I appreciate that.
well, good. That's good. So now switching gears here a little bit, obviously again, I keep coming back to the pandemic, and I hate to do that in these interviews, but it was obviously a big part of our life there for a while.
Yeah, man.
But
absolutely.
Yeah. But now moving forward, I did see that you guys do have some touring coming up. You'll be doing some touring. I think it was Oklahoma. You'll be playing a festival in September, and you'll be doing some touring with POD as well. Are you guys excited to get back out there and do this touring?
Beyond. We've got 4 or 5 festivals lined up now. I think we got like Shiprocked in January. Should be pretty cool. We've never played that. And yeah, I mean, when we first started our career, I think like our second or third tour, POD took us out. Mm-hmm. And, we've obviously grown a whole lot since then. So for them to do this satellite reunion tour, the 20-year reunion of Satellite, which is, I mean, that helped shape a genre. So, for them to be like, hey, we really want you guys to come out and be a part of this. That was a great phone call to get. So, I mean, couple that together with shows and festivals and everything returning, I mean, we couldn't be more excited.
Right. Yeah, that's great. That's good to hear. I know a lot of bands are excited about getting back out there, and I know a lot of people are excited to get back out there and see their favorite bands again. So
that's the understatement of the year right now. I don't even know that there's a way to describe the way people are feeling right now.
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, that sounds good. Is there any final thoughts? Anything you'd like our listeners to know about that we may not have already touched on in regards to yourself or the music or the band?
Not really, man. I mean, they can find everything they need online, but, I would just say that my biggest thing is always be yourself and don't settle for anything, man. And I guess if that's the message that we're trying to get on our music, I might as well drop it here too. Like, don't settle for what somebody else's vision of you is. Just be the vision of yourself that you want to be. Also, I love America. How about that? We'll tell people that as well.
All right. Good. That's good. That's always a good way to. It's always good to throw that in there as well.
Yeah. Hey, man. I mean, I'm not lying. I fly that American flag proudly, man. I'm a proud American. I think that everyone in this country right now should feel the same way. This is a great place to be, and I love it.
Right, exactly. I agree 100%. And of course, like you mentioned, if they want to learn more about you, they can find all that online. And well, I should ask too, I did come across a video you posted, and you were talking about some new and exciting stuff coming up here this summer around the corner. Are you able to tease any more about that a little bit?
No.
Well, I thought I'd try.
I don't really know what to give you here, man. There's some new and exciting stuff coming around the corner.
All right, that sounds good. That's a good way to end it, I think. And with you guys being back out on the road, if you ever make it up Central Wisconsin way, let us know. We'd be happy to have you in the studio.
Let me ask this: is that like Ringel? I don't know where Central Wisconsin is.
Well, you know,
where I've been, I just know that Ringel was a very weird place for us to play, and from what I understand, that was Central Wisconsin. Am I right in assuming that?
Yeah, more or less. Ringel's about an hour away from where we're located. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere, Central Wisconsin.
Yeah, it was a school in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Place, man.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's small town Wisconsin for you. So.
Well, yeah, man, a lot of Wisconsin love. Every time we're up in Wisconsin, it's always fantastic. I think our first sold out headline show was in Madison. That was awesome. So yeah, Wisconsin has always treated us great, and we can't wait to come back. We were actually supposed to be there for something a little bit ago, but ended up getting canceled, I think. So hopefully we can get something booked and get up there soon.